Hey everybody, I am back. This is MRZ at the GameClucks Seattle LAN tournament. We are finally here at the end of the tournament. It's been a long 8 hours, and I want everybody in the room to give a cheer for the finalists, Sterling and KawaiiRice. I wanted you to open your mouth and cheer so that they can hear you. And let's do that. Yes! So here we go, now at the end of this tournament, and it looks like the two, possibly the two largest favorites to be in the finals are now in the finals, and we've already seen KawaiiRice go up against Sterling before, so this is gonna be like their rematch, their second best of 3, and Sterling here will be the red Terran on the top position of Shattered Temple, spawning across from KawaiiRice at the bottom position as the yellow Terran. And once again, we are viewing another Terran vs. Terran here, possibly one of the matchups that can provide the longest games. So, oh my god, we are in for a treat here. And we've gone through a lot of players. I mean, we've seen a lot of Picnic here, doing a lot of that early aggression stuff, and now we're going to be seeing Sterling versus KawaiiRice, and more than likely they're going to be doing mostly 2-base styles, mostly timing push on 2-base, possibly just playing the macro game a lot. But, you know, don't count the possibility of early aggression out, especially in the finals of the tournament. This is where people really have to start getting creative with their build orders. Players could possibly get tired and possibly do not want to go for the long game, but we'll have to see. KawaiiRice is a seasoned pro player, and I have to expect that he has the stamina to play through these kinds of matches, so, you know, that might be a little advantage over Sterling, but Sterling himself, you know, I'm not too familiar with how good he is playing in long sessions. So here we go. Now, the first thing to note is no gas guys just yet for either of the Terran players. They could be getting that on 15 or 16, but we'll have to see. So Fnatic, KawaiiRice, and Sterling. Now, you know, these players tend to do the exact same builds almost every time I've casted them previously. They've been doing like really similar builds that it's almost freaky. And so far, it seems like that is what they're doing in this game, too. Now, both players still no gas and getting their orbital commands now. I do expect an expansion to be coming quite soon here. Now, scouting SCVs now moving out. I wonder if Sterling realizes that they can't spawn close position. I'm right? On MLG Shattered Temple, you cannot actually spawn close position, so Sterling is sending his SCV across here in vain. But he is going to see KawaiiRice's SCV move in here, and KawaiiRice sees the SCV out here, was thinking about moving across, but realized that it's not entirely impossible that Sterling didn't spawn up in this position. But Sterling now going to be moving downwards, and he's going to see where KawaiiRice spawns, but let's see if KawaiiRice will deny this scout, and that is going to be a nice early game advantage, as that will prevent Sterling from knowing that KawaiiRice is going for this fast expand style. Likewise for Sterling, there is Marine out for him, so each player missing their opportunity to scout into their opponent's base. But so far it seems like they're doing similar builds, but KawaiiRice only getting 1 Rax while Sterling is getting 2 Rax, and then gas going down for KawaiiRice. So finally, KawaiiRice is the first person to go get that second resource we have here in the beautiful game of StarCraft 2. And let's see how these builds play out. Now, KawaiiRice previously in this TVT, I have to say, he just played so well throughout the whole kind of best of 3 series against Sterling. And I don't know if that's going to affect Sterling's decisions in this game here, but we'll have to see. KawaiiRice is fairly strong, judging from what I saw in that last TVT. He's probably fairly comfortable in this matchup, and just using this command center to make SCVs, I think that's largely due to the fact that he's not really sure what Sterling is doing. As you can see, no scouting information so far. Sterling, likewise, not going to feel comfortable with moving that command center out just yet, as he has no information on what KawaiiRice is up to. Now, KawaiiRice is going to be the first one to lift off here, and that's going to mean he's going to have a little bit later of an orbital command. You can see here Sterling already opted to make this command center an orbital and drops a meal before moving it across to the natural expansion. Now, I'm not actually sure which one is economically more advantageous, but certainly it seems like Sterling thinks oppositely of KawaiiRice. Now, here's a fast tech lab, and I would expect KawaiiRice to get some kind of upgrade or some kind of use out of it, and we do see an early stim going down much earlier than his opponent, and with that increased stim duration, the longer that Sterling doesn't get the stim, the more of a disadvantage he would be, I think, because that stim upgrade is just so key. And if you have a ton of, I mean, the amount of Marines you have, it's like getting an attack or armor upgrade. The benefit from that just gets more and more worth it the more units you have. And so I wonder, okay, nope, Sterling is getting that stim pack pretty early himself too, so that's not going to be too big of a timing. But each player playing fairly similar to each other right now. Double Gas now up for Sterling, and I do not think he has any tech building up just yet. But KawaiiRice has been getting a ton of add-ons on his barracks. He's getting a bunch of reactors, and he's going for a mass bio playstyle. No factory down just yet for KawaiiRice. Engineering bay down. That's going to let him start his +1 upgrades fairly quickly. Let's take a look at Sterling. It doesn't look like he's got that engineering bay down, just a factory. So Sterling is opting to climb the tech tree, while KawaiiRice is looking to solidify his bio army at this point in the game. Now each player still playing passively, and this is exactly the macro kind of game I was talking about. These players do not want to lose this game early. They want to play the longer game, and you know, that's a very good choice. If you think that you are better than the other player, playing the longer game will suit you more, because in a longer game you have more opportunities to make correct decisions over your opponent, which will ultimately lead you to winning the game. So both players are going to be trying to outplay their opponent here in the macro game. Now the factory finishing up for Sterling. Let's see if he gets that starport down immediately, or if he wants to do some factory-based play. It looks like he's getting that starport and a reactor on the barracks. Let's go check what each player has scanned. Okay, Sterling knows that his opponent is very heavy on the bio. Meanwhile, KawaiiRice missed the tech buildings of Sterling, so this is going to give a little bit of scouting advantage to Sterling here, and we can already see Sterling slightly ahead in the food count. KawaiiRice getting a little bit supply block there, but obviously too good for that. The supply depot finishes fairly quickly afterwards. And let's see, KawaiiRice looking to knock down the rocks to the back, to the hidden back third, while Sterling is going pretty aggressively for these high yield expansion rocks. But KawaiiRice is going to scout that immediately. Pause for 1 second, and it looks like we do pause that. I wonder if I might be a little bit too excited. Perhaps Sterling can hear us, but we'll have to see what the issue is, and once he gets that fixed, we will continue on in this game. Now, here's a little thing to note. Sterling, you know, he's got scouted. He's got the expansion scouted right now, or I mean his intended expansion location scouted, because KawaiiRice moved that Marine in at just the right time, saw Sterling working on those rocks, and so if Sterling does intend to expand here, KawaiiRice is gonna know exactly where to look, as opposed to in Sterling's situation, he's gonna want to try to see if KawaiiRice is going for this gold expansion or the back expansion, and that's gonna be a little bit more troublesome here, and could perhaps create an interesting situation farther down the road. And that is exactly how these players want to be thinking. They want to be thinking farther down the road. How can I get an advantage later in the game as opposed to now? Because we are gearing up for a macro game. This reactor starport now making a ton of medevacs, and this factory just floating down here, no use from it yet other than creating that add-on for the starport. And we do see Sterling putting down the expansion at the high yield, and this could be a nice slight advantage that Sterling can get. And it's these little advantages that you want to take in the macro game, because the longer the game goes on, the better it is going to work for you. So let's see what KawaiiRice is doing. It looks like he's taking a page out of Edward's book, and it is the mass Marine style. That is a lot of Marines, these yellow Marines moving across to the front of KawaiiRice's base, and it looks like they will make the journey across the middle of the map, and Sterling is going to have complete vision of that due to that one well-placed Marine. Let's go to the units tab and see what the unit count is. 44 Marines for Sterling, 47 for KawaiiRice, so KawaiiRice is ahead in the Marine count by just a bit. But they certainly would not want to go for a big frontal confrontation, because KawaiiRice is most certainly going to come on the underside of that. Oh, this one Marine, he just killed that one SCV, no problem. Oh my god, KawaiiRice is going to cause Sterling to cancel this expansion. And it looks like, the Marines are moving in for Sterling, but a good spread from the Marines for KawaiiRice, and they stim in and start firing. That is a good concave for KawaiiRice. You can see the anti-concave for Sterling, but who will come out on top of this Marine fight? It looks like Sterling will be able to come out with the advantage, and he does snipe down that one medevac, and so I think KawaiiRice moved maybe a slight bit too close to Sterling, giving those Marines the surface area they need. Concave fights really only work when you're at the maximum range, thereby allowing each Marine to shoot maximally while your opponent can only spread their fire. It's all about that target fire. The concave fight is all about that target fire. You want to try to get the AI to fire automatically in the best way possible. But the thing about that push is KawaiiRice was able to eliminate the expansion of Sterling. So let's go back to the production tab and look at the upgrade situation we have right now. 1-0 for Sterling. And we have 1-0 for KawaiiRice, but meanwhile Sterling has +2 attack and +1 armor on the way, while KawaiiRice only has +1 armor. But KawaiiRice is now transitioning into higher tech. He's got a siege tank out, he's got siege upgrade coming, and that is going to be very useful in these marine tank in this marine kind of bio fight, as that tank will be very cost effective. AoE damage is so good against marines, as they are very low on the health, and they are very small, so they clump up quite a bit. Now Sterling is trying to scout to see where KawaiiRice plans to take his expansion, not at the high yield, so he's probably going to guess that that's going to be at the back expansion, and that is going to be slightly harder for Sterling to attack into, but it could also become a liability for KawaiiRice if Sterling opts to go for a drop play, and it's going to take a little while longer for KawaiiRice to move to that area if he's got his units out in the middle of the map. But so far KawaiiRice sending more of this one scouting marine down the middle, and my god, these marines that come down the middle and to this high yield expansion just do so much work before they get killed. It's kind of amazing that they can get that far. But it looks like Sterling now has secured this base and is taking a 4th. And he's going to opt to get an orbital here at the high yield. Kind of a curious decision, as it seems like it would be a pretty exposed part of the map. But Sterling wants that economy really nice and strong, and the fact that he got the gold is going to be really nice because you need less harvesters to fully saturate it, which means you have more food for to make units here. And it looks like Sterling is going for a massive offensive down the right side of the map, while KawaiiRice is moving on the left side, and he sees these marines coming down here, and I wonder if KawaiiRice is going to make the decision to go back and defend. This might turn into a base trade situation. We'll have to see. KawaiiRice runs his units down here into the expansion, but all the SCVs have been transferred off. Sterling is going for the attack. Here comes the base trade a la Marine King style. Sterling just stims and dashes into this area. No tanks in sight for KawaiiRice. That is a lot of workers liable to get killed. And here comes Sterling stimming in very strong here. KawaiiRice did make that expansion lift up. I'm not sure if it got killed or not, but here comes KawaiiRice's army coming from the back, and there isn't much of a good way for Sterling to retreat out of this fight. He could load everything up into the medevacs. That is a viable option, but this tank is slowly cornering the Marines. It's slowly going to pin these Marines back into KawaiiRice's base and allow them to get killed, and that is some very nice positioning for KawaiiRice, this tank. Let's see how many kills it has. Only 3. That is surprising considering the amount of Marines that died. It looks like these Marines were doing most of the work, and KawaiiRice figures that he has a larger army, moves in and starts firing at Sterling's bio army. Let's see how many units are left, and it looks like KawaiiRice might come out on top, and he does, and that is a lot of free medevacs here. KawaiiRice is going to stim again and try to kill as many of the medevacs he can, but so many that he can't even do that, and a lot of the medevacs are going to get out alive. And KawaiiRice once again trading armies with Sterling, but at what cost? Sterling already had his 4th expansion up. Let's go and look at the income count. KawaiiRice far behind, 52 harvesters to 70 of Sterling, and Sterling is reinstating his gold expansion there. So interesting decisions made by Sterling so far. He was able to go down the right side of this map and initiate a sort of base trade situation. KawaiiRice decided not to take the bait, came back and defended that push. He lost a lot of his army in doing so, and so KawaiiRice is not going to be able to do a huge massive counterattack. But look, here he comes down the middle of the map, streaming down with a strong marine tank force, and these tanks will... The perennial issue when you go biomech in TVT is your mobility, because you really need to have the tanks sieged up to make them cost effective. You really want them sieged up to be able to wipe out the opponent's marine count very quickly. And so that is going to be the problem for KawaiiRice in these engagements here. And it looks like he's moving up very aggressively. And there we go, sieging 2 tanks back, and he's going to do the hopscotch style. It looks like Sterling's trying to engage here, but he takes a bit of tank fire there. Now the idea for Sterling here for his encounter is he wants to fire at KawaiiRice's army and escape at just the thinnest possible moment. Right when the tanks are sieged and ready to fire, he wants to get out of range of those siege tanks. And so KawaiiRice very smartly doing the hopscotch tactic with these tanks. You're going to see that he's going to take his back tanks, or at least he realizes now that Sterling is far enough away that he can unsiege all of them. But he's going to move very slowly. He's going to push up very carefully, because if he gets his tanks caught off guard, that could end the game instantly for KawaiiRice, because there are so many bio units here for Sterling. Now the other issue is, if KawaiiRice pushes too far in front and doesn't watch his flanks, that means Sterling can once again rush through the side of the map. And here comes the tanks, putting a lot of pressure on the bio army here. It looks like KawaiiRice, thinking about going for an engagement, pulls the bio army back into tank fire, and that is how KawaiiRice live. He needs to rely on the tank line to defend his army, and here's what I was talking about. You need to watch your flank if you're doing a bio tank play. And Sterling is moving down the side of the map here, and he does get across away from Xel'Naga vision. KawaiiRice is still slowly pushing up here. He's gotten to the production facilities of Sterling, takes down one Rax, and is able to take down possibly these three, but Sterling is just going flat out for that base trade situation. KawaiiRice has some nicely placed tanks there, and into this choke Sterling goes, and they eat up a lot of that tank fire. It looks like Sterling is trying to rush with his Marauders and take down all the tanks, and he does so. The Marauders do so well, and it looks like KawaiiRice himself opting to go for that high yield expansion. Little does he know, a fifth expansion going for Sterling on the side, and Sterling will be able to kill that factory before that tank. Oh no, the tank does get out, but it gets killed instantly, and into the main base Sterling goes. And this is actually really bad for KawaiiRice, because if he loses all these production facilities, he needs to spend a lot of resources and time putting them back up, while KawaiiRice was not able to get into a critical area of Sterling's base. The tanks siege up on the low ground there, as KawaiiRice pulls his SC to try to defend this push, but this is doing a lot of damage, and there's nothing stopping Sterling from just putting all his units in the medevacs and just lifting them away. But KawaiiRice is trying to catch them off guard here, as Sterling gets closer and closer to the cliff edge. Will his Marines jump off the cliff and commit suicide, or will they fight and make a last stand? I do not know. It looks like these medevacs are already getting out of here. They're saying, I don't care about you bio people anymore. I'm just flying away now. Your situation is screwed. I do not care about you. But very good move by Sterling. I mean, it's sad for the individual units there that lost their lives needlessly. These medevacs not very heroic, but the commander issued the order, and they were happy to oblige there. And Sterling is going to be moving over to this other side here. He's going to start working on these back rocks and start piercing this kind of back rock area. And this is exactly what I was saying before this situation. If KawaiiRice is on the center of the map, it could be quite difficult for him to get to his third base, and that is exactly what is happening here. KawaiiRice having trouble getting to his third, but he has a planetary fortress here, and this is going to do very well in defending this base here. Now Sterling's going to decide to pull out, decides it's not cost effective to push up against that planetary fortress, but KawaiiRice, I don't know if he should engage this. He's going to siege up his tanks fairly late, and look at that concave for Sterling. He's going to be able to take down all the tanks, and KawaiiRice's situation is terrible, and good game. KawaiiRice wins. Give a round of applause for Sterling. Very well played, and that is the strength of that bio style, that mass Marine, mass Marauder style. I really like the way Sterling played that. He used his mobility to his advantage. KawaiiRice tried a few large pushes down the middle, but Sterling very smartly just pulling to the side at the right time, getting a good positioning on his opponent, doing great attacks into KawaiiRice's base, able to get into those critical production facilities there. And so Sterling will take the first game in the finals of the GameClucks Seattle LAN tournament here. And I'm having a blast here. I hope you guys on the stream are enjoying this cast. If the stream is a little bit laggy, I'm not sure what's really going on there. Hopefully that fixes itself up, but oh my goodness.